perspective. From Danzig to death, to Dark Throne to Dr. Shrinker. Buckle up, things are about to get heavy. This is the Metal Podcast. Let's rock and roll.
Welcome to the Metal Podcast. I am your humble and handsome and professional host, DJ, and I'm joined with, as always, with my best, most trusted confidant. If he were a food, he would be a mushroom because he is a fun guy. AC of Ancestors Call and co-host of the Metal Podcast. How are you today, sir?
I'm great, and I often describe myself to others as a fun guy, but I never even bothered to associate it with mushrooms. But my goodness, the genius that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of like a restaurant joke. I was in the industry for a bit longer than I would like, but we have an incredible guest. It's been long overdue. I consider him a close friend. He may not think the same, but Mr. Ed Cohen, you've spent 58 years in the industry, an absolute legend. You are the co-founder of the Connecticut Film Festival. You pretty much run the show there. I mean, it is an honor, sir, and thank you for being with us today. How are you? And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Great to see you, DJ, in the flesh.
Yes.
The digital
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The digital flesh.
Yeah, and actually the organization that I co-founded is the Connecticut Film and TV Alliance.
Okay.
At this point, we're waiting for our 501c3 designation coming back from the IRS. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, the 58 years of the music and the stories go on forever.
I'm sure, and it's amazing to have that longevity in a business like this. And you are the manager of Max DiCarlo, is that correct?
That is correct. Max is like at the core of my being at this point.
Excellent. Yeah, and you have described him as the heir apparent to John Williams. So that is not a small feat or statement. So I'd like to hear.
The fun part is that his music is such that he basically you play the music for somebody to say, "Oh, yeah, his music speaks for itself." You don't have to go into an awful lot, but when you go into his background, there's really nobody that really meets all those standards.
Right.
Anyway.
And it seems like he is beyond a hard worker. I think you've said he works 10 hours a day or so.
That's his regimen. 10 hours a day doing his composition. He has over 10,400 compositions. He scores directly to manuscript. He scores the entire thing, sends it to either the Budapest Symphony, the Prague Symphony, the BBC London Symphony, and they record the tracks, send it back to him. He mixes it in Dolby Atmos and masters it. It just keeps on. Yeah, the guy is just amazing. He wrote the biggest hit for the biggest Latin group.
RBD, right?
Yeah, he never stops. It's wonderful, and it's not derivative.
Yeah, no, that's what's exciting to hear, especially, and you yourself, it seems like you've got more things going on than ever before, that you're not planning on slowing down anytime soon, and either is Max, and it is exciting to hear. The work is not done yet.
No, the funny thing is the way I got into film is pitching Max's music to directors and producers. And I called this one producer rather, and I played the music for him. He said, "Oh my God, I got to get this to my director. He said, this is great." I said, "Well, okay, terrific." He said, "Yeah, but he won't listen to anything till post-production anyway." So, well, okay, that's fine. He said, "Well, listen, while we're waiting, you want to work on a movie?" I'm like, "What?" Sure. So next thing I know, I'm doing location scouting for a movie with Antonio Banderas. That's a hell of an intro to filmmaking.
Oh, what movie?
And that was on Codename Banshee. It's right now you can watch it on, I think it's either on Amazon or I don't know, one of the streamers.
Okay, that was
Good movie.
Was it more recent?
Well, that was about 2.5 years ago. It came out about 2 years ago, and it's a good movie. And next thing you knew, they said, "Hey, you did a great job on that. You want to do it again?" I said, "Well, absolutely." So next thing you know, I'm doing location scouting and for a film with Olga Kurylenko and Don Johnson. And then they said, "Hey, we haven't hired a locations manager yet. We think you're the best man for the job. You want it?" I said, "Sure." I had no idea what the job entailed, but I was going to do it. And so got in there, and then they said, "Okay, did a great job." And we get to the end of it, and my landlady became the locate or the set medic. And they get to the end, they say, "Okay, Ed, now we can talk about Max doing the score," which was my goal in the first place. So I called Max. I said, "Max, okay, pull the trigger," because I had given him the script when I was going to do the scouting. So within an hour, he had sent 3 pieces of music to the director, Zach Golden. He said, "Okay, Zach, according to your script, there are 3 possible avenues of comedy that are suggested by this script. Which of these pieces is closest to your vision for the comedy?" And Zach said, "Oh, it's number 2. Okay, great." The next morning, Zach wakes up. He has 20 pieces of music based on that piece. And he said, "Okay, which one of these is closest to your vision for the theme for the movie?" He picked it immediately. Long story short, they ended up finishing the full score 2 months ahead of post-production schedule, which never happens, to rave reviews from the director, the post-production supervisor, the editor, and the guys that did the opening credit animations. They said they never had music like that to animate to. And then Variety turned around when they reviewed the movie. That was like high heat. And they said, "Yeah, good movie, but it really kicked off with a great zippy score from Max to Carlo that got us through the endless list of executive producers."
Wow. So many moving
well, did
pieces.
did he just overnight make all that stuff, or what? Did he have like he has his 3 pieces and he essentially has a bunch of things to accompany those?
No, he's amazing. He's kind of like, if you picture a person with a computer sitting on his shoulders that has a terabyte of terabytes, it's unbelievable. I mean, all of the music that he creates, he just goes and goes, and everything is new and fresh, and he knows exactly what he's written at all times. So whatever is suggested as a need, he probably has the music already recorded.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just snap your fingers and have the Budapest Symphony, record something.
Right. That's what I was getting at. I was like, that seems a little
well, no, but
daunting
that
if
is
he were
the net
able to do
effect.
that.
Right. That is the net effect of what this man can do. I mean, it's
He's ready.
It's kind of indescribable. I had another composer that I worked with before that was, very, very accomplished. And as good as that guy was, Max just kind of leaves him in the dust.
Have you ever seen the movie Space Raiders?
Not sure. I don't think so.
It's a Roger Corman movie from the early 80s.
Oh, I think I heard about that. Yeah, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, the music was done by James Horner. And
okay,
the movie itself isn't interesting, but like it's 1983, so it's still like pretty early James Horner. But
right,
it sounds like the music that he used was just unused tracks from Star Trek 2 and 3. Like, and that's the only notable thing about the movie is the music is done by James Horner, who at the time was still relatively like small composer, but eventually, the guy does Titanic, so he's one of the biggest names in music. But yeah,
not too shabby.
Yeah. But it's just like very obvious because it's Roger Corman, and his whole thing was just like whatever you have that works, just slap it in there. So he probably just had some unused music lying around. Yeah, you just use this. It's outtakes from Star Trek 3. Like, whatever. So I was wondering if this guy, if Max DeCarlo he's like of a similar ilk where he just makes a bunch of music and then just like, do you like this template for 1, 2, or 3? And then they pick the one like, well, here's the score that goes for that because he just knows this is the tone and then this is how it's gonna sound.
He goes at it from every different angle. I mean, he's working on a tentpole movie that's like so highly restricted. I don't even know the name of the director. It's everything is hush hush, but it's a massive movie, and the director showed up on his doorstep one day from the UK unannounced and said, "Max, we have work to do." And he spent 2 days with him and then flew back to the UK. I mean, it's the guy is just magical. There's nothing that he can't come up with. I'll give you an example. We have and you'll see it later, or you may have seen it already on the clips that I sent. But we have a logo, an animated logo for the Connecticut Film and TV Alliance, and I sent it to Max at, I guess it was 11 o'clock my time. I'm East Coast, he's West Coast. He was already asleep. Get up in the morning. He says, "Oh, I just got the link." He said, "I'll get it back to you today." And I'm like, "Okay." I told him, I said, "Look, just think 20th Century Fox or MGM." And what came back blew everybody away, literally. I mean, you could see their hair blowing in the breeze. Really? Oh my God. And it was like in a morning he did it. It was perfect. Wow. So scary stuff. It doesn't matter what I put in front of him. There's a song that you've got that I sent, We Learn.
Oh yeah.
That came from me putting him together with Robin McCauley, because I was
Survivor.
Survivor and Michael Schenker Group.
That's right.
And Black Swan, and now he's working on his third album starting today with Frontiers, third solo album. He's Max. Well, I was president of the Lions Club at the time, to go back. And I wanted to create a self-funding endowment for the National Lions Club. And I told Max, I said, "Look, Max, would you create the perfect anthem, if you will, for Lions Club International, and give up some of your royalties to the charity?" And he said, "Sure." I'll do that. He said, "But who's going to write the lyrics and sing it?" I said, I was thinking Andrea Bocelli.
Oh goodness.
Well, Max had done two operas for Bocelli that he really liked, and Bocelli's musical director decided that he wanted part of it, and so Max walked. But it's interesting. Anyway, we get back to that. So I called Bocelli's office. Bocelli was on tour, and his wife tours with him. I couldn't wait to the end of the tour, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm friends with Robin. Let me give him a call. So I call him up. And he says, sure, I'll do it. And I called Max. I said, all right, Max, Robin McCauley's going to do it. He calls me back an hour later. He says, okay, I've listened to his music. I know what his range is. I know what his pitch is. I can send you the music. He sends me the music. I send it to Robin. Robin says, oh my God, now I'm really worried. 2 days later, Robin comes back with the lyrics and the melody, and they got together in the studio, and it was, the piece that I sent you. It was absolutely epic. So then they liked working together so much. We now have a 6-song EP that we did a world premiere on, but we haven't done the full release on it because they haven't decided on the artwork.
Want me to make it for you? I do all the artwork for our shows.
We could talk to Robin and Max. I mean, it's hysterical. Of course, now that everybody is off and running on the New Year projects, so that's going to slow down everything else. But I've still got that stuff going, and I mean that generated me actually going to Mohegan Sun Casino because we did the world premiere on WMOS radio at Mohegan Sun, and I said, okay, I want them to do a co-promotion in the arena, and nobody had answered my calls. So I finally got really frustrated, and I said, damn it, I'm going to go and apply. And I applied, and I ended up getting hired. So I worked with them for like 9 months at the casino, having an absolute ball. It was absolutely terrific. Got to, meet the president of entertainment and sports there, and he and I had fist bump every time we'd pass in the hall. So it was kind of cool. And then they decided that I couldn't talk about music or TV or film. And I said, well, what am I going to talk about? The weather?
That's a very important. Yeah, the weather is a very important aspect of TV. I mean, isn't that the most watched aspect of news?
Absolutely.
It's very important.
But when you're trying to entertain guests in a casino, it's kind of a mild, bland ho hum,
Especially at a casino when don't they block out like what it looks like outside?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no clocks.
That's why it's so important that you talk about the weather, because how else will they know?
That's true. Public service is
they're going to need to know, like, especially if they're down, like, hey, cheer up, in the clear blue skies. Once they throw you out after you've lost your shirt, at least it'll be a nice, clear, sunny day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks, Ed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're competent enough. You can be a meteorologist, I'm sure you can handle that. You seem like when you get a job that you're not necessarily ready for, you do whatever it takes to figure it out, just like you did with scouting absolutely. Film. You know what I mean? So
The meteorology is a bit far. My buddy is, my old buddy is the head meteorologist on one of the network stations in Denver, and he's, I learned a lot from him, and I said, yeah, no, this is way, way over my head.
There's too many clouds.
It doesn't matter. All you need to do is just you go to the news station, you say, here's some Max to Carlo music, and like, hey, do you want to be our weatherman? I mean, that's what I've picked up.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, I can always try it,
It's worked so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You don't even have to be right about the weather, you know. Those weathermen, I think that's still a thing, even though we're like it literally tells you like what's going to happen next year.
Just check your phone. Like you could just check, like you could be live and just like, hold on, let me look at my iPhone. Yeah, so it's like tomorrow it's gonna, I don't know, whatever. Just check your phone, people.
The weather outside is weather.
Yeah,
it's sad. You know, you look out the window and you know it's much more accurate than when you're hearing on your weather reports.
Right.
Well, do people? How many people like watch the weather? I mean, I used to watch it all the time when I was young, like around like, you know, around the winter, because I wanted to know, like, will it be a snow day? Will school be canceled? Like, I genuinely wanted to know. But now, like, I do constantly check the weather app on my phone. I do it multiple times a day because one, I forget. And two, like I really want to know what's coming in the coming weeks. Like I will plan my week accordingly. So
me too.
Yeah, and who's watching the weatherman when you have the weatherman on your phone and it's satellite or whatever, instead of, you know, some guy who doesn't even have Max DiCarlo's music on the ready. Why should I trust him?
I know. Yeah, life is bad already, so
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm gonna do from now on. Like, if I'm at anywhere, I'm like, if they ask me for something, like, do you have Max DiCarlo's music? If they say no, I'm like, I'm out. Like, you don't have what I need. Not because I need the music, but I know that that's a person who comes prepared.
Oh my God!
Yep.
You have no idea. I mean, did you get a chance to read the notes that I sent you on Max's background?
Yeah, I actually got it in front of me right now. I'll read a little bit about so some interesting facts about Max DiCarlo, born and raised in Rome, composer,
Mamma
conductor. We're not doing the Italian bit right now.
We are.
Composer, conductor, arranger, producer, multi-instrumentalist, track engineer, mix engineer, mastering engineer, and that's just number one out of 16. So he attended Santa Cecilia Conservatory, Rome, Italy for 10 years, sat at the right hand of Ennio Morricone.
Yeah.
The father of modern film music.
Spaghetti Western.
Yeah, see, you know.
I know that. Yeah. Do you not?
I know it now.
He did the music for The Thing, and what's the recent one he did, The Hateful Eight, in addition to all those Clint Eastwood movies.
Oh, all right.
Yep. Unfortunately, he passed, but you know,
recently, because
Yeah.
I saw The Hateful Eight when it came out, and I saw that he did the music. I had no idea he was still alive, and I think he won an Academy Award for that movie.
I think he might have. He's considered the father of modern film music.
Yeah, well, so many.
Wow.
I mean, Metallica, their intro music for concerts they play is, I think it's "Ecstasy of Gold" from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Mm.
It was for a long time. I don't know if they still do it, but it was for a long time.
Wow.
And so the protege of that is that's a big deal.
Yeah, sat at the right hand. I mean, that's who essentially mentored him and groomed him, so to speak. I guess
showed him the biz.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then you had already said, Ed, you know, he's created over 10,400 compositions to date. Works with live orchestra frequently. Budapest Symphony, Prague Symphony, BBC London Symphony, and this is actually really cool. Collaborated with Elton John on 2 albums, also with Donna Summer and Olivia Newton-John.
Ooh,
yeah. Produced numerous Latin artists, including Shakira and Ricky Martin. All went multi-platinum, selling over 130 million albums. Recently finished one Italian film, Marco Spagnoli's Sofia. 1 UK film, 2 US films. 1 has been sold to Saban for world distribution, and 6 one-hour episodes for UK TV. He is currently working on 8 films in the UK and 3 films in the US. I'm going to struggle with this word. Since
he's not a good reader.
Sincita? Oh, that's not even close. Okay. What was it, Ed?
Cinecita.
Oh, there it is. Cinecita, Hollywood, a documentary scored by Max, has just been released in Italy. We're about halfway there, folks. Produced a new singer, songwriter, guitarist, Dirt Miller. Result is Dirt Miller signed to Dirt Miller signed to WME and will be supporting act on a major world tour. Max has collaborated on some new songs with singer Robin McCauley of Survivor, Michael Schenker Group, Black Swan, solo album, co-star of Raiding the Rock Vault show in Las Vegas, sought after by music supervisors, was just interviewed for a second time by Music Connection magazine for the April 2022 issue, created a Broadway musical we are now speaking with, or that is, you guys are now speaking with producers about, composes 10 hours per day, whether on gig or not. Max is now mixing all of his projects in Dolby Atmos C. Like I said, I cannot read for nothing. Max won Best Score for a Diversity Short Film at Cannes 2023 for Dear Eleanor. And Max scored overnight the Connecticut Film and TV Alliance animated logo, as well as Ed's and their promotional video for the Connecticut legislature. He did this as a donation. All right. And there's, I'm sure there's 13 or so more pages, but I appreciate the straight to the facts. No, that's incredible. And how did you meet Max? To begin with, how was that first conversation like? I'm sure you guys hit it off. You seem like a very easy going guy. I've said this before, maybe not on air, but whenever I talk to you, Ed, I'm always in a better mood afterwards. It's like you're one of those guys. Selfishly, I call you, and I just feel better afterwards. So I do appreciate you as a human being. So
I enjoy talking to you too. So
thank you.
the way I met Max was really funny. He put a piece of his music up on LinkedIn, and I kind of haunt LinkedIn and IMDb Pro. That's my zone. And so when I saw it, I commented on it. I thought it was amazing. And he answered back, "Thank you very much." And, so I called him. And, what did I do? I guess I asked him to call me. And next thing you know, we were talking. So we spent 2 days talking. And he said, I've never had an agent or a manager because I never found anybody I liked or could trust. He said, I think we can work together. And we basically started there. And he and I have never met face to face in person. We've FaceTimed a few times, but generally we just talk on the phone all the time. We've gotten to be very good friends. And he trusts me and I trust him, and we're moving it forward.
Wow. Yeah, we did just release or create a Patreon, and on our last, we have 2 episodes out, and on the last episode we were talking about, in this digital age we're living in, it's hard to get that trust with people, because all business is the backbone of business is trust, right? Like, you got to trust someone, look someone in the eye. Usually when you're face to face, you shake someone's hand, it's like, I'm not going to screw you over. Like, that's what that handshake means. Exactly right. And so it is amazing that you guys are able to trust each other digitally. And are there plans to meet at some point in person? Not like it necessarily matters, but I'm sure you guys would love to hang out maybe. Maybe
I would love to hang with him, and but since I've managed him, he's lived in 3 places. The first place, there were fires coming at his place in Calabasas, and then all of a sudden he moved to Studio City, and that was great. That was safe until they had the huge rainstorm, and then the pipes burst underneath, and he got flooded out. So now he's in Encino, and he just it's unbelievable the changes that life has gone through in the time I've known him.
That's incredible. Wow.
He was
that's the weather. The weather's important.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. New gig for you.
Right. He was up and running in his studio a day and a half after he got flooded out and had to move. That's like
Hey, you
unbelievable.
don't. The work doesn't stop because of the weather, right? Who cares? You
Yeah,
know.
totally.
Oh, who cares?
Nothing.
But you know,
I mean, the mailman thinks he's unstoppable.
the
Max is
mailman.
way beyond
You can
unstoppable.
send an email. No, that's really funny. And Ed, I do really appreciate, because especially being our guest, like you have, watched and listened to our episodes, and you called me about, I'd say like 3 weeks or so ago about, you're like, hey,
Yep.
DJ, I listened to the Metal Podcast, episode 25, part two of the Laurel Canyon
Oh
deep
yeah.
dive. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm like, oh no, he's going to yell at me. But, you were really kind. And you do have a connection right to Atlantic Records. Is that right?
Yeah. Growing up in New Haven, I lived around the corner from this guy, and he was a drummer. And actually, he had his start in drumming as the drummer for Freddie Paris and the Five Seconds.
Hmm.
And actually, I booked Freddie, and he and I were real good friends. He passed about a year and a half ago,
Hmm.
but Jerry was there, and I booked Jerry's band up at Yukon for $150 a night. Well, that was Jerry Green and the Passengers. He became the youngest president ever of a major label. At age 32, he took over as president of Atlantic Records with Led Zeppelin, the Stones, Aretha Franklin, Cheap Trick, ABBA,
Oh, great.
ACDC.
Oh, that's
ABBA.
her.
I mean,
ABBA, great fan.
Eva, yeah.
ACDJ?
huh?
ACDJ?
ACDC, right? And, yeah, looking at that logo, yes. But anyway, so Jerry and I, go way, way. Oh, and when he left Atlantic, he was handpicked as the president of MJJ Music, Michael Jackson's label, by Michael,
Hmm.
and he was president of that until Michael's passing. So the guy has a storied history,
Yeah.
and he's coming out with a book. And he asked me originally to kick off the book tour here in New Haven, but he may be doing another approach right now. We're waiting to see what the story is. And
Any idea when the book's going to come out?
it should be out very shortly now that we're into the new year. They were kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, if you will.
Yeah.
And that was just on his years at Atlantic. There's another book coming after that on his years at Sony.
79 years old?
Huh?
He's 79?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And he's still going.
Yeah,
strong.
Jerry is amazing. It's funny because he has a documentary that's being done on him, and he sent me a couple of the clips, and one of them was Mick Jagger saying that he had the best pair of ears in the world to spot a hit. That's not a bad recommendation.
No. That holds some weight, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's just amazing when people, I mean, to have a chance to have led Led Zeppelin. He told me this great story. On his birthday one day, Zeppelin was playing Madison Square Garden. And they said, Jer, what do you want for a birthday present? He said, I want to play drums with Led Zeppelin on stage at Madison Square Garden in front of Bonzo. And they said, done. They brought out congas and they put him up in front of Zeppelin, and there he was.
Some birthday present.
That's
All I get for my birthday is socks.
Yeah, I'm kind of in your area, you see. But it's like, Jerry is just a trip and a half. So yeah, and then he's got a movie that he's executive producing that he wanted me to raise some funds for. So I was working on that. And we're just having fun.
Yeah, it sounds like you are connected to some really not only important people, but very fascinating people. That is, I guess that's what 58 years in the business, doing the right thing, being a good person will allow you to meet. I guess. I guess, is that the secret? Not screwing anyone
I don't
over.
know what it is. I just pinch myself every morning and say, "Are you dreaming? What's going on?" Yeah, I had no inkling that I would ever in my life be involved in film, and because of Max, I'm like immersed in. The Connecticut film industry is what we're involved in. Period, and there's no way I would have gotten there otherwise.
Yeah. No,
And it
and
wasn't anything I was even trying to get to. Felt it.
That's funny. Yeah, I know. Obviously, people think of Hollywood as the movie whatever capital, but now it seems
it
like
is.
Atlanta
It
has.
is.
Well, I think isn't Atlanta taken over?
They are slowly moving to Atlanta. It's cheaper.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting. That's what our alliance is all about. We are creating a whole new environment here in Connecticut. And we're involved with the major studios. We're involved with everybody. I mean, I manage a rock band out in LA.
Second Sight, right?
Yeah, Second Sight.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. These guys are all either current or retired major moguls in the film and TV industry. So
like Disney and Legendary Pictures, right? A few of them,
yep,
or is that right? Yeah, I remember you talking.
Yep. And so and Warner Discovery and Max too. Not Max the composer, but Max the business. So
like HBO Max.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's my keyboardist. He's like unbelievable. So all these people just kind of come together, and it's just a huge network. It's great.
No, that's amazing. And I think you had said that, maybe some people don't realize that Connecticut is ready for major films, right? That some people think, oh, they don't have the resources, but you guys are ready to rock and roll, so to speak, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are at a point now where we have proven to the studios that we are the boutique state to go to, and we're in the process of building sound stages. So everybody is ready and perched to go. Right now, what we're known at is the Christmas movie state. They've done about 100 Christmas movies, and that outfit that does it, they've done an amazing job with it. All the Hallmark movies and what have you. But we want to go beyond that, because there are a lot of people in Connecticut that are incredibly talented that have to go elsewhere to work, and we're changing that drastically. I just had a film where I was doing locations, and originally it was supposed to be Connecticut, then they moved it to Jersey, then they moved it to Arkansas, and then they said, yeah, you know what? Best deal is let's go back to Connecticut. And we finished there. So I brought one director. I was given the opportunity to talk to him and convince him. The guy was in California, in LA. And I was given 20 minutes on the phone with him to explain to him why he should shoot in Connecticut. And he was all excited. And after 20 minutes, he says, yeah, let's do this in Connecticut. Okay. Then his entire team said, no, we're not leaving LA. And stars said they wouldn't leave LA. So it's like, okay, can't do it. Well, about, maybe a month later, I get a call from the producer. He says, Ed, he said, we've got another film that's scheduled for Connecticut, and the same director is doing it. And he just said, I want to shoot it in Connecticut. I said, yes. And so that one we ended up shooting, that was with, God, let's see, we had John Cusack, Mira Sorvino, Brianna Hildebrand. It was a really good cast. And that's in post-production now.
Oh, wow. So that's coming out.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't wait. That was, we had so much fun on that. I actually ended up in the hospital for 2 days on that one.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
You had too much fun.
I had too much fun.
Oh, goodness.
We were like going crazy, and of course I was location managing, and you're first man in, last man out, and I was an hour away on my commute, so I was getting 3 hours sleep a night, and that happened 4 days in a row. So next thing you know, the PA was going by, and he's carrying a chair, and he grabs my arm and slams me into the chair. I said, what? He said, you were going down. I said, was what?
Oh, no. Get this guy an IV.
Yeah, well, that's, they were trying to hydrate me the whole bit.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing was happening, so they drove me home. And my landlady is a nurse, and she said, we're going to the emergency room. I said, why? She says, I don't like your color. So what was my color?
You look like a Simpsons character.
Yeah, right. So they got me at the hospital and said, yeah, you're staying here for a while.
Oh, goodness.
Have you ever seen Creepshow 2?
No.
So Creepshow 2 is not a very good movie. Creepshow is fun, but the opening scene is shot in New England. I don't know what part of it, but New England in general has a very nice look as far as the towns and the neighborhoods go. And then that's something that you really can't replicate it without making it look like an obvious backlot.
Right.
So there's a lot of I've been to New England. It is a really nice looking place, and Hollywood is, or Los Angeles, I guess. It's really, it's so obviously Los Angeles. Have you seen Halloween?
No, I didn't go to a lot of movies, which was hysterical.
Okay. Well, that movie takes place in Illinois, but but there's palm trees in it because it's shot in Los Angeles.
And like with the picture, right?
and there's a scene where like there's the kids at school, and the thing is, for anyone who's never like lived in Southern California, the schools have a lot of outdoor stuff because it's constantly nice, but in suburban Illinois, everything's going to be closed off because the weather is pretty harsh, so they just have all these outdoor facilities, and that stuff stands out, but you can get away with that in New England. Like, you can make New England look like most any part of the country, with the exception of maybe like
the palm
Hawaii, Alaska, or the palm trees aspect of Southern California.
Exactly right. I mean, I sell it based on the fact that we can offer anything but desert. I mean, we're right on Long Island Sound, or if you go all the way out, we're out on, near Rhode Island, we're out at the ocean. So all kinds of fun stuff that you can do there. As a matter of fact, the Fog of War, the one that I did with John Cusack, that one called for a ship that was two-masted, that looked like it was capable of escaping to sea. And we were scheduled to shoot it May 11th. And it turns out, which nobody realized, the boating season in Connecticut starts May 15th. So all the boats, and it had to be a wood boat because of the Second World War. So all the boats were out of the water and wrapped. And it's like, when I was in the hospital, I spent all the time calling, trying to find a boat, and I went through about 200 calls because everybody said, "Yeah, no, my boat's out of the water. Try this guy, try this guy, and try this guy." It was like endless. And a day and a half before the shoot, I finally found the right boat. But we can find anything in Connecticut. It's really insane.
Wow. That's
Well, and things like that stand out to an audience.
Absolutely.
Like, and I think that's probably why they make all those Christmas movies there, because you have these nice small town looks, and it creates a feeling of comfort.
Yep.
Like
right.
Versus like if you show something like the crowded, dirty New York City or like downtown Los Angeles, where you just feel like anxiety. Like, I don't care if these two people get together. Ah!
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the ambience of, your location has everything to do with what comes across and continuity.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people don't live in one place, so you're going to have a lot of people from all over watching something, and they have to believe that where the place is supposed to be that. And
right, it's this suspension of disbelief.
Yeah,
which is what all art is really based on.
Yeah, they try to do it, I'd say. But how many movies set in New York are filmed in Vancouver, Canada? It's like it's got to be most of them.
Yeah, it's super expensive to shoot in New York City. I mean,
and all you need is some dirty alleys. Like, you can get that anywhere. You don't need New York City for that. Come on. I mean, what you do is you get an alley, get some dry ice or some steam. You throw some heroin needles on the ground, some crack pipes.
There you go.
Boom! You're in New York. Who can tell the difference?
You can definitely replicate it. Every now and then I'll get something like they wanted the one shot on the Champs-Elysees in Paris, and they weren't just like shots of the area, but it was supposed to be with the lead and with dialogue and everything. I said, okay, that I can't give you in Connecticut. I couldn't even give you that in Vegas. I mean, we have the Paris Hotel in Vegas, but you got to go to the Champs-Elysees if you're going to do that. So they end up doing that. It's like 3 days they shot in Paris, but the rest of it they shot back here. So
no, and when you're either scouting for movies or just working on movies in general, do you have to keep in mind like the intended audience? Does that matter that much, or do you have to deal with that at all?
No, that's the director's issue. My issue is to fulfill the director's vision.
Okay. And I like that.
I'm given a script, and then I just kind of read through it, and then I try and get a lookbook from the director that kind of gives his conception of what this is going to look like, and then just kind of put that together in my mind and come up with the solution to it. And the magic is if you can create what the director sees in his mind's eye to the point where he looks at it and goes, oh my God, this is just what I was thinking of. That's the magic.
Okay.
And
yeah.
It's the director's movie. Everything serves the director's vision.
Okay. Yeah, there was the reason I ask, and the first time I kind of thought of this, like what is the intended audience? Is I really like this series called Counterpart. Have either of you guys seen it? It's with J.K. Simmons. But it's fascinating. It's like,
is that the person that wrote Harry Potter?
No, that's J.K. Rowling. J.K. Simmons is the yellow peanut M&M.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah, of course I know that.
or from Spider-Man as in charge of the newspaper or whatever with the Tobey Maguire series. But anyways, it was a really great series, but they canceled it because they said that, well, we went into a direction of like wanting to get like more female driven, but we have a male audience. So like, oh, we canceled it. I'm like, I just, it upset me over that because I thought that was so stupid because it was a great series, but they just, I don't know what the deal was, that they marketed it wrong or they tried to make it more female driven and it was for like a male audience, which I mean, it was fine the way it was, but it just, so I was wondering too, if like I guess you try to fulfill the director's vision, but is there any times you have to tell the director like, hey, like you might not want a sailboat here, you might want like a yacht or something? I don't know.
Well, I would never tell him that. I mean, if I saw that and I thought it matched what he was describing, I might put that out as an alternative.
Okay.
But I never try and go, and I'm not the creator. It's his movie. You never want to get into a manipulative situation, because if you're not all rowing in the same direction, you're not going to get a great product. And when you start saying, no, this doesn't go to that market or this market, or it's like, just make a great film or a great TV show. Let that take care of itself.
Yeah, I think that was the problem with that series, that they literally canceled it because they tried getting, fancy with it and trying to sell more, whatever you would call it. But
it's the tail wagging the dog. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just do what you do best. And the teams, I mean, what I've found in Connecticut in this industry, we got some of the most talented people in the world, literally. I mean, I've got a guy on my education committee with me who's also on our board, and the guy is a director of photography. Well, he was the DP for Robin Williams on World's Greatest Dad.
Oh wow!
And he's off on a major shoot now as a DP, but he just finished a documentary of his own. He was touring the United States for 9 months on what it means to be an American, and just a magnificent thing. We had a party at his house, I guess about 3 weeks ago, and he said, everybody bring your reels, because everybody's in the business. And they brought him in. It became a mini film festival, and everybody introduced their reel, played their reel, and then we had a Q&A after each one. It was a great time.
Wow.
And I mean, these people are like all so creative and so cooperative. And we're just doing all kinds of stuff here. I mean, we saved the film tax credit this year. And that was when we got into the legislature. We've got 2 lobbyists. When we got into the legislature, there was a bill in the finance committee to do away with the tax credit. And we said, no, you can't do that. And now we've got the legislature on our side, and we're starting to educate them on exactly what the waterfall is of the money that comes in when any production comes to the state.
Wow. Yeah. I'm curious about your thoughts too, with how you think like AI is actually going to, whether it already is in place or how it will affect the movies. Because I mean, we obviously have talked about it with music, and
if anybody thinks that screenwriters are not using AI to write movies, you're insane. I'm gonna say that right now. And like I'm sure there's movies that have come out where it was clearly ChatGPT either wrote the story or wrote like the foundation for it, and then you just have some writers like punch up some dialogue here and there, and they say no, we didn't. They're lying. There's no reason to believe that. Like you are crazy. Like there
I
there are movies out now. Like, do you know how many movies come out a year that no one's ever heard of?
that never see the light of day.
Well,
Yes.
not just that. No, they go to like Tubi or stuff like that. Like all these streaming services that are free. Like, because all you need is Da Vinci, an iPhone, and like and that's all you need, and then you can make a movie. So now you just have someone that doesn't know how to write a movie. Chat GPT, write me a 90-page screenplay about something. The way that Quentin Tarantino would.
Right.
And now it's full of pop culture references and hip cool characters and flashy dialogue. And then you have someone who doesn't know anything about screenwriting, and they look at it and they go, "Yeah, this looks good." And boom, they can't tell the difference, because I guarantee you, anybody that's a lot of people have thought, like, I should write a movie. I have good ideas, but if you've ever looked at a screenplay, it's not like a book. Like it's written in a very specific way. And,
Correct.
And if you have like Chat GPT, like write me a screenplay, it'll look like that. Like interior night, like and then someone will look at that and say, "Oh wow, look how professional this looks. Let's make a movie like this." There you go. And then now you have just some amateur piece of crap movie. And then you combine that with someone who does know how to do things. Now you just have a 90-page like sloppy mess but all it takes is you hire some ghostwriter to come in. It's like, okay, clean this up, change this dialogue, and there you've just turned like something AI generated into something filmable.
Yeah. No,
there's no reason. There's no reason. Now you like you're think of it like from a money standpoint. If you want to go with that angle, any executive, you go to the producer, hey, have AI make this script, and then you just have a ghostwriter, hey, we have this script. Tell us what you think. Like, please polish it up. And then instead of paying a writer like 200, 300,000, maybe 1 million, 5 million, you give them, the bare minimum like the industry minimum. I don't know, not writers, actors, or writers guild. Yeah,
yes,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have no reason to. Well, I have no reason to believe that they'll honor that. Like, how do you know?
Yeah.
Like now, who's the guy? Silver, who the guy? He did like Die Hard and Predator and Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
He's like the 80s action guys. Joel Silver. I think it's Joel Silver. I think that's his name.
Maybe right.
Yeah. Oh, you can have Joel Silver or who I don't know. I don't know producers, but I'm sure that Jerry Bruckheimer. Yeah. So all of a sudden now they're writing stories, and how do you know it's not AI generated? You don't know. And if you have these writers, like, I'm going on strike unless you do this, they don't have to hire those writers. Jerry Bruckheimer can join the Writers Guild, and then boom, now he's a screenwriter because he had AI do it. Because all they need to do is like, I want to make a movie about a guy who's trying to save a dog in a burning building while the terrorists attack it, and his wife is going into labor. There, AI, write that movie. Okay, they wrote it, and then now, like, hey, screenwriter who's been around forever, whatever, pick a guy, like someone who's not like a
Spielberg.
Well, sure, Steven Spielberg, yeah, and I'm sure, and Steven Spielberg's a producer too. I'm sure he'd have no problem going along with this con. Yeah, I hear you just changed this. Do this. There, I've structured your story. Now you have a filmable screenplay. There's no reason to think that they'll be honest about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I think what is going to happen at this point is that there's going to be kind of a blend. And what you're going to end up seeing is they'll find a way to use it as a tool without having it take over and that's going to be the struggle because there's no controlling AI. AI controls itself at this point. It's learning from humanity and just nonstop
the people that program
everything.
it.
Right. But well, the reality is that the people that program it are just expanding the horizons, but the people that are using it are, just taking whatever is developed at that point. And it's just a constant ebb and flow. So I've got like one director that I manage. He's a DGA director. And as a matter of fact, I sent you the clip on the Repo Elves.
Oh, yes.
And there's some AI in that. And he's a young director, and he's amazing. He's got like 3 films right now that we're working with. And I put him together with Max, and they're just an amazing team. So Ray Griggs and Max, just outrageous. Those podcasts are they're dropped every other Tuesday, and just great adventures. And if you listen to the thing, I mean, it's entertaining as all get out. But he's got like major screenplays. We're talking, $150 million range, $65 million range, and $5 million range. So,
well, it's probably harder for AI to make those really bigger budget ones. But
I think that's a question of time. I mean,
well, sure. We're talking right now, though. Eventually, who knows what technology can do in the future? Like who knows? Like because AI it got really good. Like it started off like, wow, look at this, and then now like AI
right.
can do some pretty impressive things.
Yeah, it's doing more than rap songs from Abraham Lincoln or something.
Yeah. Well, it's doing that now. Yeah, like the AI voice things. Like you can probably have exactly. AI just do the metal podcast. Like you probably get to that point. But although there's a set of movies where it's done by a studio called A24. And all the trailers look exactly the same, and they're always like really like critically acclaimed. Like I think they did like The Whale, that Brendan Fraser movie.
Oh yeah.
Like they always do these like these small I don't want to keep saying indie, but they are independent, but they're these small, like minimal location, minimal actors, like really small productions that are just character pieces. You can have AI do all of that because it only requires a few locations. Oh, you know what movie was actually pretty good? I haven't seen it since it came out because I don't really watch movies anymore. But the Steve Jobs movie, did you see that? The one with the guy from
Prometheus?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. That one. Yeah, he plays Steve Jobs. It's 3 scenes of him talking to one person walking down a hallway. And it's like the premiere for like, I don't know, the Apple II or the I can't remember, maybe the Macintosh. Then it's like something else, and then it was the iMac, and it was just like him walking down a hall talking. It was like basically 3 segments. Yeah, like an AI could do that. It's no problem. Now it might be a little different to like maybe you have like an ensemble piece, like the Royal Tannenbaums, where there's a lot of characters and you got to juggle that and they get all their development and get the people invested in all of them. That's probably too hard for AI to do now. But like when you said earlier, the blend, that's what I think they're going to do. They just have the AI have basically the framework, and then someone comes in to just to humanize it, to kind of clean it up, to make it seem like it was actually made by people.
No, I think it's going to go the other way. I think the framework is, what's going to be human. and use the tools to clean up afterwards.
It's possible, but I think you're going to have your Jerry Bruckheimer or your Joel Silver types. So like, I want to make a movie like this, and then the AI will just spit out a script for it, and then they'll just hire some up and coming hot screenwriter, and then they're just going to fill in the gaps. Because I think it's easier to take a story and clean it up than to create the story and have a robot clean it up.
I hear you. Well, it's interesting. One of my artists, Marston Smith, Lord of the Cello. That this guy's interesting as anything. He just sold his house this past year to Kevin Hart in
No way.
in Malibu, and he moved to Connecticut. And I met him because the president of our alliance directed him ages ago. The guy SAG-AFTRA, the whole bit. And he's he played for Liz Taylor's wedding at Neverland Ranch. He's played for Clinton, Schwarzenegger, just about every corporate gig you can imagine. Wow. He's been on over 100 movies. He started out as a science officer on Star Trek, playing the cello and a string quartet on Star Trek. And the guy has just done everything. Well, he's heavily into AI. And, I've been seeing some of the stuff that he's putting together for a live show. It's absolutely incredible. And he's working with this guy, Steve Johnson, who I also manage, who's a bass player. And he's, played with everybody and done everything. And so they've been collaborating. And the stuff they're coming up with is scary good.
Sure.
So there's some creativity going on with artwork in relation to that, just from a description of what the show is. And all of a sudden this artwork gets created, and my mind's getting blown. I mean, it's, it's great. I mean, Marston is the type of guy, he comes out, he's got 3 sets of wings. He's got 12 suits of armor. He's got.
Oh, okay. You sent that over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that one. That was very interesting. He's a showman. He is a showman.
Yeah, he looks like a Viking on stage. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah.
We're doing a recording session this Friday with him, and there's a woman that I ran into who turned out to be one of the top classical harpists in the world, and she lives down the street from me. So we're going over there to do a session, and I'll, record that. Just fun stuff.
Yeah. Now, Ed, you mentioned the harp. Is it true that you could tame, beasts by playing the harp?
I'll tell you, it's pretty amazing when you see. She's got like 3 harps, and one of them was made in France, custom. It's one of a kind. It's like just beautiful. And she started playing that. I was over there for a Christmas party, and I mean, you get chills.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful instrument.
and she plays like so amazing. I tried to get it on video that night, and for whatever reason, it didn't record. But I could not track her finger work. I'm like watching it. I'm like, this is
that's mind blowing.
But
wow.
She's a Juilliard graduate. She's
okay.
Like just amazing. She's been on everything. I guess she's one of the top Sony artists for harp worldwide.
Wow. It's back to kind of like a little bit of the AI. I recently saw an artist. He like does like album covers for bands, and he was complaining on one of the social medias, and I couldn't help myself but respond. But he was saying something like, "Oh, like I don't know, like something about you don't get paid because the AI is taking his job." And I'm like, "Hey, the solution is really simple. Just make better art than the AI."
Thank you.
And if you don't want to do that, then you need to remember why your customers purchase your art for their album covers in the first place, and that's to attract more fans. So if you can't make better art, there's another part to it. Start networking and make sure that you use your human element that the AI can't use to network for you to guarantee that this band gets more followers. Like, I'm like, it's not something to complain or cry about. And, sometimes the best love is tough love, but like, seriously, like you're like almost 50 years old and you're complaining about this. It drives me nuts. Like, just make better art. Honestly, like, it's not that hard.
Or make better friendships.
That too.
The thing is, people will buy from you because it's you. And the thing is, if they don't like you, they won't buy from you. Like if you make amazing art, but you're a prick, no one's going to want to buy from you because they'll take a step down for someone nicer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're complaining, the AI is doing a better job than me. Well, okay. Well, you know what you can offer that an AI can't? You can offer like revisions. You can offer some kind of deal where you will work with them to their specificities. Like if you like do AI make a dog with a top hat riding in a Corvette on the moon, like they'll make that. But if it's not exactly how you want it and you say redo, it's going to give you a different piece of art where you can say, well, here I can change the angle. Like I can do this and that, whatever. I can make it exactly to your specifications. Hey, what would you like? I'll do it. I'll help you out. I'll work with you. And then people go, wow, what a cool guy. Like, oh, he's given me good services. And this goes back to the business being, the handshake and look in the eyes. The AI will never really replace the human element. And this is kind of an awkward thing where there's this kind of like AI, like girlfriend simulator that is happening to a lot of very lonely people. And I do understand where they're coming from because like there are a lot of people that suffer from pornography addiction. But the thing is with that is the computer doesn't love you back. So they tried to have an AI that just like, oh, hi, DJ, how was your day? Oh, tell me about it. Was Frank giving you a hard time again? Oh, were you talking to Ed on the phone again? Oh, that's so cool. And then that makes people feel good. But there is an actual human element where you can actually meet someone and look at them and you can talk to them and see their face and you can share emotions. And that creates a stronger connection than AI ever could. AI is a tool. Yeah. It is.
Right.
It's not to be used as a crutch. And there are going to be people that will inevitably do that. But I think of this like, remember when it first was a scandal that people were downloading movies and music from the internet?
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of the people that were doing that, well, there's two sides to it. They weren't hearing that music or watching that movie anyway, so that was their exposure to it. And through that, a lot of people that heard those musicians, well, they started becoming fans of that, and they started attending live performances. They started buying the merchandise. Then they started buying physical releases, because I knew a guy, he downloaded so much music, but he would go out and buy the vinyl if he liked it, because he didn't like CDs, but he liked vinyl. So he would download it and he would have the MP3s so he could listen to it on his computer or in his car. But if he wanted to listen to music, like I'm in the mood for music, he would go buy a vinyl record and he would put that on. So the people that are using the AI as a crutch, well, they weren't going to buy that guy's art anyway. So this guy is just being a Debbie Downer. Because unless for some reason everyone who was buying this guy's art just said to him, no thanks, I'm going to use AI now, which I would be very surprised, because I think a lot of people do like to do the, show support with your wallet. I think a lot of people do like buying goods from people. They like, and some people they'll pay the extra couple of bucks to buy brick and mortar instead of buying from Amazon because they do like the human element. They like the customer service. So there are pros and cons, but a lot of the cons don't really affect a lot of people.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I've got a friend who is, you talk about album artists. Have you ever heard of Johannes Dangerous Age?
No.
No. What was it again?
Johannes, Ioannis, Johannes Dangerous Age, which is a name that he adopted. He's amazing. He did free artwork for me when he was in high school for a band that I managed back in late 1960s. And next thing you know, he became like probably one of the biggest album art artists in the world. He's done over 400 album covers. He did all the stuff for Allman Brothers, for Uriah Heep, for Deep Purple. He's done just about everybody. And he went to a book signing with Roger Dean, who was his idol. He goes in there and he says, I want you to sign my book. And he says, who should I make it out to? He says, Johannes. He says, wait, Johannes Dangerous Things? He says, yeah. He says, I have your book. I want you to sign that. When you know you've arrived when your idol asks for your autograph. So it's like, his stuff is going, I believe his originals now are going for $50,000.
Jeez.
And the signed prints are going for somewhere around $2,000 or $3,000. It's unbelievable. So, he doesn't get replaced by AI. You look at some of his artwork and it's just, it is so intricate and so bright.
Yeah, I pulled him up right now. I'm looking at the stuff he's done for heavy metal, and it's
the magazine.
Heavy
metal magazine?
just a genre. He has genres like classic rock, heavy metal. And
I see.
A progressive jam band.
Okay, I was thinking that there was the magazine Heavy Metal, and then there was that movie in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
No, he is an absolute.
Did something for
genius.
Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
Yeah, that's on this.
No, Giannis is absolutely a master. He was picked up by the largest, what is it? The art gallery and outfit in England for worldwide for album covers. And so his work was going for around 25,000. Now it's going for 50.
Wow.
That's good money.
Yeah, that's not bad. And but I better not be an artist because there's AI that's just going to make better art than me. Like, no, like.
And if this guy's making 50,000 a piece, and AI has come a long way, and AI can do some impressive stuff. But if you are at the top of your game, you can stay there. Like AI can only go so far. There is a lot of the AI. It does like toes and fingers wrong. It does a lot of it does mess a lot of things up. If there's too many things going on, it messes up faces. You will always beat that as a human. Like you won't accidentally make someone's face look like a butt, which has happened in a picture before. You can get around that. Yeah. You won't show the person with 6 fingers, where
right.
It's pretty simple. But if your art is subpar, well, you were only niche to begin with, where you were just getting by just helping your friends out, and then they were giving you a couple of bucks just because. That's it.
Right.
So you can always improve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we're never going to get rid of AI. You can't put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste.
Well, not with that attitude.
No, it's out there. It's
Yep.
creating itself.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yep.
So there was I've heard comments. Well, ultimately, in the development of AI, the machines are going to decide we're wasting all these atoms on humans, and they are the problem, and they're the reason the world is falling apart. So let's just disintegrate the humans, use the atoms for something more productive.
Wasn't there a movie made about that?
Was
I
it
don't know.
the Terminator?
No, Terminator, yeah. Who's gonna be our John Connor?
Right.
The one person who's known to stay away from all of this.
Yeah. One person who doesn't have an iPhone or something.
Yeah, so some guy who's still got a Motorola Razor from like 2005.
It's it's all around it, and there are things that it's great for. I mean, one of my sons is the manager of customer success for Noteworthy AI, which is an amazing company that they developed the whole thing to use AI to maintain and evaluate the entire electrical infrastructure. So, it goes by a telephone pole, and the system is sitting on just one of the vehicles for the electric company. And as it goes by, it geolocates the pole. It takes a picture of it. It evaluates everything that's going on with it, puts it into the database, and away you go. And you never have to stop. You never have to climb a ladder. You never have to get in the bucket, anything. It's amazing. It's saving a fortune for the industry, and it's being picked up by just about everybody. So there are some good uses for AI that aren't creativity, questions.
Right.
Well, the most interesting thing about AI is that it can replicate simple things.
Right.
That's the best thing. And the best thing that I see about AI is, like we talked about recently, this Drake song that AI generated that they wanted submitted to the Grammys. And I do see AI as replacing all these terrible pop artists, because the lyrics are completely hollow.
Mm-hmm.
The singing is all improved by digital effects.
Correct.
And all the music is digitally created. So there's no need to even have these people anymore, and they're high maintenance, and their concerts are expensive. People used to go to concerts because there was a more like cozy, quaint thing about it. Not necessarily like you go there and it's like, your Christmas party or something, but now It's like these large, extravagant productions. You're spending $500. You're nowhere close to the artists. They will never come out and meet you. Some of them do, but we're talking about the big pop artists. Like they are openly hostile towards their fans. But if you put a screen out with like a digital face and you just took the number one pop song, people would go. Like, even if it's at the Staples Center, and it was $50 a ticket. Like, oh my gosh, front row is $50. People would go, and you don't have to pay anything. You just put a screen out, a projector, and then you essentially play MP3. That's it. Yep. And people would go. So, because we are winding down. We're getting close to the end, and we got some lyrics in front of you, Ed. That I would argue that an AI could do a better job. I'd like you to, for the people, read this. This is a song called "Brick in Yo Face" by an artist named Stitches. Now, before you go on, I'm just gonna see how many views this has. So this song has the official video has 32 million views on YouTube. So this isn't just Yeah, so this isn't
exactly what? Why?
This-
what
yeah.
world are we living in?
Yeah, so this isn't something that I scoured
No.
through the darkest corners of the internet to find the stupidest thing possible. No. This is something popular.
This is popular.
It came in front
This is
of
what
me.
the kids are listening to.
Yes. So go ahead and spit some fire for the folks.
in my Dr. Seuss voice.
Do
Any
it.
voice you want.
No. Do it in Civil War voice.
In what?
Civil War voice.
Civil. Wait a minute. I put that brick in your face. Say what? Now what you gonna do with it? Better have my money when I come to collect. Pay up, pay up, pay up. I put that brick in your face. Sweet. Say what? Now what you gonna do with it? Better have my money when I come to collect. Pay up, pay up, pay up. You better have my money when I come to collect. Pay up. There's the theme here. I got a bullet in the chamber and it's ready to eject. Pop, pop, pop. God.
Yeah.
You ain't a man, use a kid, call it child neglect, little boy. If you want to shoot a fade, I'll leave your face leaking. Oh, good. You better not tell the police I did it. Out in Dade County, anything goes. I think my head's going to explode.
Yeah, it might.
Well, keep going. We'll find out.
Always at the scene with some blood on my clothes. Then I go sell coke to you ho. Sorry if you didn't know that your girl loved my blow. One hit, now the girl on the pole. I love selling blow.
How many times does it say I love selling blow, by the way?
It repeats it 4 times.
Oh my God.
He really loves it. He loves it.
Hey, love affair is a wonderful thing, right? Give me a break. My God.
Yeah, isn't that despicable?
No. Hold on. There's more.
Oh, there's.
Oh, there is? Wait a minute.
Isn't there? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, there is. I'm sorry. There's a big space in there.
Yeah. There's
Hook.
more.
I put that brick in your face. Say what? Oh, Hook is in parentheses.
Yeah.
So I put that brick in your face. Say what? So the same thing I've said before.
Yeah.
Let's see. Verse 2.
There
You
we
say
go.
you need 100 bricks. Well, I'm the connect. I got it. I make drug money, fool. I don't need a rap check. Never. If I front you the brick, you better pay up. This is my lifestyle, fool. This ain't no threat. And we can bet on that. I got an AK-47 in my face, ho. Oh, on my face, ho. So you know I don't shoot no pistol. I dare you to come near my threshold. This gun will not reload. Because, bitch, I got extendos. Bitch, I got extendos. Don't play with me, boy. Don't play with me, boy. Go play your Nintendo. Sick. Let's see. And now we're back to the hook. I put that brick in your face. It's like, okay, regurgitate. Yeah, that's it. It's like, oh my God.
It's a hit.
It's a hit. It was a hit. 32 million views.
32 million people that are like, what?
Now, I wouldn't go that far. I'd say a lot of them probably really like it. But again, 1% of 32 million is still a lot. But I recommend to everybody go look at the music video for it just to read the comments. The comments are really funny. Here's one. This guy is going places. They aren't good places, but he's definitely going places. This was a good one. I just celebrated my 50th anniversary with my wife, Phyllis. We played this song several times during our celebration at the nearby Bridge Club. It brings back so many memories of the peaceful and loving life that Phyllis and I have shaped over these years. God bless Stitches for being a part of our lives last few years. I play this on repeat when getting dressed for church. I yearn to one day be as passionate about something as this man is about selling blow. I like this one. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with
it. It's interesting. I don't want to get involved in that scene because it's so violent. It's like, why would you want to get? I mean, metalheads go in there and there's a mosh pit and everybody gets wild and crazy, but nobody's trying to kill each other. That you get hurt because you're just getting too exuberant. This is like, I'm going to kill you.
Well, he says in the song he makes money selling drugs, not rapping.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It does foster a culture of violence because like they do get popular from their music, but the music is popular because they're bragging about their violent livelihood.
Right. It's a marketing tool for them.
And what they're marketing is violence.
Correct.
But the funny thing is, because this is not poetry. This is like it's stupid rage. It's stupid rage. That's the best way to put it. It's stupid rage, and an AI could make better lyrics, a better song structure, and they could do it just as violent. They could, and it would be more coherent, and it would be, because there was one part you didn't, if you heard the song, you would understand. He says, like, I have an AK on my face. So something, but when he says, like, because you said pistol, but he says, like, so I don't fire no pistol, because he says, like, pistol. So he rhymes like O with like pistol and O. So you could have a better rhyming structure because he just speaks like a buffoon. So that is how he gets the rhymes to, like, the words don't actually rhyme. He just doesn't speak the language correctly. So that's how he kind of tricks the listener into thinking that he's rhyming. See, when you just read it, you just read incoherent nonsense.
Right.
And AI will, I firmly believe it will replace that. And mostly because they put the message out there and they don't have to worry about their musicians getting killed at 25. Like, they could just keep the hits coming. It doesn't even matter. Like, another guy died. It doesn't matter. We just AI a new one. It's no big deal.
I like great music, but I go back to 1965 when I was developing groups from the basement and what have you. I mean, I played one group, managed 5 groups, and booked 100 groups. And everybody paid attention to learning their instruments and how to write music and how to read music. And it was amazing. Now it's, you write 8 bars, you copy paste, and that's music. Well, not really in my book. So
no, of course not. And that's why we say that heavy metal is not going to get replaced by AI. Like, people are still doing it. People are still picking up guitars, drums, bass, and they're making rock and roll. This rap stuff, like, I'm not going to say it's a fad that's going to go away. It's always going to be in the mainstream because
it's huge. I mean, it's $1 billion business. So
murder is good business.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it is. As absurd as that sounds, yeah. So, that they do their thing, and I just, that's fine. There's nothing you can do.
I wouldn't go as far as to say it's fine, but
well, there's nothing we can do about it.
We try to mock it as much as we can and let people know that this is not good, and there is at least something we could do is shame it by having people read the lyrics at least and comment on how nonsensical and how miserable this is to have in the culture.
And that's why I disagree. Well, that's why I disagree that there's nothing we can do about it, because we can ridicule it, and if enough people see, the emperor has no clothes.
Yeah, well, you're right, but I mean that's like a huge
Baby step.
battleship.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But
We understand
we
that.
can.
But
It's something we can do, but it's not necessarily
you're right.
winning
But
strategy.
the other thing we can do is put out great music.
Yep.
And you know, I mean, all the kids today are starting to go back to classic rock and say, hey, this stuff is good. And so, you know, it's got to take time. And, you know, just like going back to vinyl, you know, all of a sudden, so, hey, that was warmer. That was great. This was cool. Okay. You find it again, it's new.
Yeah, people only like this stuff because it's in front of them. You know, you put
Right.
you give them an alternative, and they'll prefer that. That's why there's so much emphasis on nostalgia in all media now, because that's the stuff that people like. People don't like the modern stuff. People like the classic. People even like they prefer analog to digital. There is something nicer about it. There's something more familiar, something more personal about it. People don't like this new synthesized crap. The only people that do, they like it because they don't know there's an alternative. It's as simple
this
as
is
that.
where perfection becomes the enemy of great.
Oh,
It's
God.
you know you've got all these techniques that everybody's got to get the music quote unquote perfect, and it becomes sterile.
Yep. Yeah. And it becomes uninteresting, and when you put all your eggs in that basket, then people just leave, and then they leave music in general, because like, oh, music sucks, because no one has the variety anymore.
Correct.
When your top 40 is the same five people over and over. Like, let's do this. I have this in front of me. I don't do this with most people because, I mean, you've been around here. We did this with, I think, John Heinrich, but I'll have the top 100 hits of 1985. So this is the Billboard Top 100. So Careless Whisper by Wham. I Want to Know What Love Is, Foreigner, Like a Virgin, Madonna. Crazy for You, Madonna. Easy Lover, Phil Bailey and Phil Collins. We Are the World by USA for Africa. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Tears for Fears. Every Time You Go Away, Paul Young. Power of Love, Huey Lewis and the News. Can't Fight This Feeling, REO Speedwagon. Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds. Take on Me, Aha. Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Cherish by Kool and the Gang. St. Elmo's Fire, John Parr. Saving All My Love for You, Whitney Houston. Raspberry Beret, Prince in the Revolution. Susudio by Phil Collins. My Man, Phil Collins. Shout, Tears for Fears, Heaven, Bryan Adams. Part-Time Lover, Stevie Wonder. View to a Kill by Duran Duran. That's a great song, by the way. The Heat Is On, Glenn Frey. Everything She Wants by Wham. You're the Inspiration, by Chicago. If You Love Someone, Set Them Free by Sting. Loverboy, Billy Ocean. Oh Sheila by Ready for the World. Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. One More Night by, again, the champ, Phil Collins. Freeway of Love, Aretha Franklin. Never Surrender, Corey Hart. You Give Good Love by Whitney Houston. The Wild Boys, Duran Duran. We Don't Need Another Hero, Tina Turner. Miami Vice Theme by Jan Hammer, which is funny. One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head. Things Can Only Get Better by Howard Jones. The Search Is Over, Survivor. Night Shift by Commodores. Now, that's just the top 40. Now, there were a few repeat names, but for the most part, it's not that many. Like the top 40 now, it's all this. It's like the same five people. Like Nicki Minaj and Drake have an album out, and they have 5 singles, and there's your top 10 hits of the year. But here, and a lot of those repeats, like those were great songs, and like these bands and these artists, they had really good years. But for the most part, that's a pretty big variety of the 40. It's probably 30 different artists, and that's just the top 40. And a lot of the repeats, it's because those artists had an album that year that was really big. But when you go down the list, you get way more diversity because you have people that had big singles instead of big albums. Like that's when you get to John Mellencamp, Don Henley, Honey Drippers, Power Station, New Edition, David Lee Roth, Hall & Oates, Eurythmics, Starship. Like it's just Katrina and the Waves, like a bunch of songs that we all know, but they just didn't have big albums. They had big singles, where that doesn't happen anymore. Now you have like 2 or 3 artists that have an album and all their singles, they're just blasted everywhere. And then now those are the biggest songs of the year because that's what's given radio space. And
the thing
no one
is
else
that radio is no longer terrestrial radio.
No, it's YouTube. It's all YouTube
and
the
programmers. Right, the programmers absolutely locked everything in.
Yep.
And there's nothing you can do about it. And then, when you get the promotion out there, Live Nation controls the world.
Yep.
So,
well,
that especially after they took over Ticketmaster.
Yep. Yeah. Well, like when we had Rick Ernst on, who was working at MTV, he said he was there the day they said, turn the metal off, stop playing metal. Like it wasn't, this isn't selling. They just said, just don't play it. So they dictate what they want people to hear. And what they want people to hear is, I put that brick in your face. Say what? What you gonna do with it? That's what they want people to hear. Otherwise, it wouldn't have 32 million views. Clearly, they want people to hear this and they want people to behave this way.
Well, there's always been a dichotomy. You've got the art world and you've got the business side of it. And the business side of it is pure marketing and it's all numbers. Mm-hmm. And, you could argue on either side. I mean, if you're looking at it from the business standpoint, they're wildly successful. If you look at it from an artistic standpoint, it's like, oh my God,
bankrupt.
What have you done to our world? Yeah. So,
yeah, it's not art. Let's be fair. Because there's no internal expression about anything. It's just an unadulterated tantrum. Like that's all it is. It's just people screaming emotionally, but there's nothing. It's the equivalent of like you put a firework, like you put an M80 in a paint can, and then you put that in front of like a canvas, and you're like, "This is my art." Like, that's not your art. Like you just blew something up and paint hit it. Like that's not art. And then, and if anyone's like, "Well, who are you to say that's not art?" I'm an intelligent person. Like compare.
I think you just started a whole new genre of art, my friend.
Well, isn't that basically
modern art?
Yeah, that is modern art. Isn't that what's his name? Jackson Pollock, pretty much.
Yeah.
There was an art professor that he showed this picture, and then he asked his art students, how does this Jackson Pollock painting make you feel? And they were all like, "Oh, this is showing the duality of rage and like they were all trying to sound smart." And then he showed them, like he zoomed out and he's like, "That's just a picture of my apron. Like it's not a Jackson Pollock painting, and you're not as smart as you think you are." And it was really just to kind of weed out the people that think they understand art, because of course art is subjective, and then you might see something and like, "Oh wow, this actually touches me." But I think there is a difference between abstract art and a Frazetta painting. Like, or even the Sistine Chapel. Like there are beautiful works of art, and then there's just nonsense. And this modern rap, it's the equivalent, honestly, of like a 4-year-old drawing. Like, this is mommy, daddy, the dog, me, and a son. It's like the son is like a triangle. Like the dog is just like a brown line. And like
the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone who's been around children or someone who's had children, they've seen the picture. But like you say, like, "Oh, it's so nice that you have this," and it's more that this child is growing and doing something. They have like an awareness and they're able to visualize it. But you don't parade it like, "Wow, look at the composition here. Look at the depth of feel." Like it's a child. They don't know how to draw. They're terrible at it. And it's the same thing. Like these rappers, they don't know how to write. They're stupid, angry, violent monsters. And it's just put out there for people to think that it's music. And it gatekeeps people from actual music and actual creative behavior. Because when you make real music and you're actually creative, like Max it's the same thing. Like if this guy's doing this like 10 hours a day, he's obviously smart enough to do it. And if you're not stimulating yourself intellectually with anything, whether it's music or actual painting or carpentry or anything where you're creating something, your intelligence does drop. Especially if you're just watching nonsense all day, like you're watching like TikToks where drill rappers are talking about all the people that they killed instead of like actually creating something constructive. You do become less intelligent and you become more susceptible to bad behaviors because you don't have the intelligence to say, this guy put this brick in my face and he asked, what am I going to do with it? Well, I better put it in my nose instead of saying, no, thanks. You look like an uncouth customer that I probably shouldn't be associating with.
Oh, God. The world we live in.
Fallen world we live in.
Well,
aren't
you glad? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, aren't you glad we introduced you to Stitches, Ed?
Yes.
Well, yeah, your life is better for knowing that it exists. Your life is worse for listening to it, taking it seriously, and trying to apply the lessons that person is espouting to your own life. But knowing that it exists, knowing that the dregs of society exist and they are popular does enrich you because you now know if someone tells you, hey, have you heard the new track by Stitches? You know to not engage them intellectually.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Forewarned is forearmed, as they say.
Without a doubt.
I think this is probably a good time to wrap it up. So Ed, do anything you wanna plug for the people at home?
Well, I mean, a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, Max, if you follow Max DiCarlo, www.maxdicarlo.com. That's DICARLO. And Ray Griggs is amazing. Max is working with him on those podcasts, and you can find those on iTunes, or iTunes, iPodcasts, and on Spotify, and they drop every other Tuesday. They're kind of amazing episodes, half-hour episodes that are super entertaining between the music and the sound design and the stories and the characters, and the different. There's different storylines all the time, so it never gets boring. And also, they need to watch out for Marston Smith, Lord of the Cello. Stuff coming. We're putting together a whole act with him. He's always been solo, and now we're doing things where there's going to be a band behind him, and there's going to be illusions and all kinds of interesting stuff going on besides the costumes and what have you. And the music is amazing. And then hopefully things are going to get wilder here with Connecticut Film. It's right now I'm working with 4 production companies, and the head of the alliance is working with all the major studios. So it's going along very, very nicely. And I can't thank you enough for having me on.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure, Ed. Come back anytime, honestly. We'd love to have you on anytime you got new news. I know you're up to a bunch of stuff. I'm sure we could figure out other things to talk about. It was an absolute pleasure. Really, really appreciate your time, and thank you for your friendship as well. I do really appreciate that. You are a pleasure.
Thank you. You guys are a pleasure too. This is wonderful.
No, thank you. And
look forward to talking again.
Absolutely. For everyone, please consider joining our Patreon. We will, put the links out as well as all of Ed's links where you can find him at. And for everyone at home, have you, happy New Year again. And please, please stay safe out there.